side of the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Ray Garino and Joe D calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here, relevant news, biased opinion, and outright nonsense regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp! With mechanical trickery never before broadcast over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrilled to the explosive tension as Ray and Joe cuss each other down track, barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disasters as they shake hands for the devil. All that and so much more at high noon this Sunday on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and the Live Eat, Ray Garino and Joe D. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free every Sunday at noon on WHBC. Take the Hempstead Turnpike to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the no parking on the expressway and no express service on the Parkway sign. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass.
Roses somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the roses somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and blue.
Why do you always make me feel like Beavis?
Well, it's either Beavis or Butthead, because I was in a grungy kind of mood when I picked the music for this show.
It would appear so.
And it don't get any better than STP.
Oh, hell no.
So.
Well, I was slightly fuzzy. Now the fuzz is in my ears from the fuse box.
You even put the headphones on for that one.
Hell yeah. Whoops, yep.
On the grunge line, Ray Guarino with his XO wingman, Joe D. Motormouth Radio, folks. Call in, get in the fun, 516-572-7440. We're kind of free-forming it today because we didn't know if we were going to be on the air until a short while ago.
Yeah, right. You know, somebody, I'm glad they found that plug they kicked out of the wall.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
You know, you never know. One stupid wire, one spilled Pepsi Cola on the wrong circuit board, and next thing you know, it's dead silence.
Right.
Which on the radio is not necessarily golden.
No, it's never a good thing. That's called dead air, and that's what we try not to do. In fact, we've been kind of playing around with our headmaster in charge, our compadre and our radio Papa, Chris Switzer,
yes.
Because we were speaking a little while ago, and he was commenting on how he isn't seeing any dead space in between, like the promos and the commercials. And I said, look, I'm doing what you did. I'm emulating what the master did. I'm keeping it tight and right.
We tried to be good students. So we try to keep the dead air only between our ears, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it was just like when that,
There's definitely a test pattern in my head. Ooh.
Yeah, just when that lead break came in, I mean, we kind of almost glanced at each other a little bit, because it's like kind of what the bass player and the drummer do, and you kind of come in exactly at the same time.
That's the job.
That's how you do it, right? So
somebody's got to be the timekeeper, and it usually falls to guys like us, right?
Right. We do have an event today. We're going to be heading over to the AutoZeum, our good old friends.
Yeah, they
Mike
got an open house, huh? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I asked Mike yesterday why, and he said, well, it was on the schedule. They had them planned, so we're going to do it. And I said, okay, well, we'll show up and say hi.
Yeah. Not to mention see some cool cars. Like I know yesterday you showed. I love the way you mess with me. You showed me a picture of the Back to the Future cars. Says, hey, you want to fix the wiring on this? I'm like, there's not enough coffee.
That's right. And I made sure I got a close-up of, like, the capacitor bank, too, so it was just,
Exactly. My capacitor tester is fluxed.
Yeah.
So it's... once that comes out of the shop, we'll see about fixing that thing.
And that's why, because down at the Celebrity Chase Collision at Oceanside, they had an open house all week, and they brought down the DeLorean, and they brought down the Scooby-Doo van. And I tell you something,
Ruh-roh.
I was down there yesterday doing some work on my own car and helping Mike with his Crown Vic, and people just, it's funny, you see it in Queens because it happens just in Queens, just for the hell of this happening. But people are driving by and you see a guy hanging out the window with the cell phone taking a picture, and people are like cutting into the curb. They want to see people walk in, and it's...
Yeah, we had a 56 Caddy hanging out right in the corner of the shop, right by the apron.
Right.
And, people are like, hey, what is that? Well, it says Cadillac on the hood in letters about 6 feet high,
Right.
It's one of them old, tanky Cadillacs from the 50. I mean,
oh, yeah.
This thing's got to be 20 foot long, and weighs about 900 tons, and
That's good to put it in a driveway, a space in Queens somewhere. That's always, I'm sure there's plenty of space.
hell, that's somebody you could have 2 families living in that thing.
I know.
Hey, good thing it's only there for a short term, like an oil change or something like that. Thankfully,
Exactly.
They didn't want me to troubleshoot anything on it. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Because I have enough fun. One more would have probably sent me over the edge. So,
Speaking of going over the edge, Joe, do I see what I think I'm seeing?
what are you seeing? Oh, the flashy thing.
Yeah.
See, of course, I blinked for a minute. And
We're going over the edge. Let's blink it.
let's rock.
Let's see who's on the line with the Motor Mouths and say, hi, you're on with Ray and Joe.
And you're on with the bunk. Good morning, guys. How are you this bright, sunny morning?
Yo, I'm hungover. Take it easy, all right?
I'm hungover every day. Every night is Friday, every day is Saturday. That's one thing to look forward to when you retire.
Right.
The only bad thing is that you're a lot closer to the box, so you don't have any good days left.
Oh,
So
thank
there's
you
a
for that.
positive and
Thank you for that
negative on
cheerful
both
thought.
Well, like my chiropractor says, on the football field of life, there's more yards behind me than there are in front of me.
You hit that right on the head, so make every drink count.
Yeah, right.
Taking it that way. Well, I'm not going to hold you long because I got a big car job coming in the garage, and I want to go over part 3 of what we were talking about, the joy of owning an old car. So
Right.
if you remember way back in the beginning of time, that the first part 1 was the search, where you went looking for that particular old car, the one you had to have that you had with your as a kid, and you're going to restore it and bring it back to life. Then part 2 was the anticipation until the car finally arrives. Now you have the car. So now we're up to part 3. Are you ready?
Don't let that stop you. Bring it on.
Oh, he
Okay,
won't.
you're ready. And phase 3 is called The Money Pit Gets Deeper. So far you have not started any work on your treasure, and you're already over budget, and the spouse has been out to dinner quite a few times. Now you look at the many pages of things to do and try to prioritize into some sort of a timeline. After looking at the list and making a survey of your garage, you realize you need a few things. Right? You visit your friend and you look at his garage. You'll need many things, the most important being a drip pan or 2 or 3. After a trip to the supply house, you take the spouse out to dinner again. Starting into the disassembly of the car, you find you need more muscle than nature gave you. Back to the pusher's garage and a new list of necessary accessories. You buy an air compressor, an air ratchet, an impact gun, and impact sockets. You notice she has a parts washer, so you might as well buy one of those too. When the compressor arrives, you discover you need a 240 outlet, so an electrical contractor has to come in and install new wiring, and then you have to take the spouse out for dinner again. How we doing so far?
Keep going.
You bring it.
Okay. You think you're set. Soon you find you're missing a few essential tools. Back to the supply house for wrenches and sockets in SAE, metric, and Wentworth sizes. In addition, you need another tool chest to hold your growing collection. Having so many tools, you now need to sort by type and size and have some sort of order established. Wrenches and sockets are easy, but screwdrivers and pliers are hard because they're not marked SAE metric. Once again, take the wife out for dinner. One thing which is generic to all cars is once they come apart, they take up 3 or 4 times the space they did when they were assembled. Storage becomes an issue. The spouse must park her car in the garage, so what do? You have 3 choices. Store everything in the backyard, under a tarp, or build a shed, or rent a storage unit. Being over budget and a frequent guest at the dinner house, you opt for option 1. As things seem to be going well, you have a visit from the city official in charge of code compliance, and you have 1 week to clear the junk out of your yard. After somewhat heated discussion as to what junk is, the edict becomes 48 hours. The next day, the instant shed appears and is placed in an appropriate place. Now it is not dinner, but a weekend had a spa and a new kitchen appliances. Your bargain purchase now approaching the national debt, but you are hooked. Next week, the wonderful world of finding replacement parts and specialty craftsmen. So that's
Okay.
where we're at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably should just opt for like either a larger house or an extension because A, you're going to need the room for the car, and B, if you're taking your wife out that much, she must be really fat by now.
And the other thing I
Well,
noticed...
most when they hit their 50s and 60s, they tend to grow a little bit, both in size and mouth. I know my wife's right behind me, so I'm going to get smacked any minute.
The other thing I noticed about that list
Did I
is...
just hear something cock?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right?
the
Well,
list-
don't forget, guns are legal out here. So, if you don't hear from me in a couple of weeks, you'll understand why. Unfortunately, it's a small caliber, so the whole be relatively small, right? So it's less blood splatter. So
Right.
you got to look at it that way.
All right, Brock.
You know, when we bought the house here, we came out here, we had two conditions, right? We both have to agree. She gets the house, but I got to agree on the garage. So she's not allowed in the garage, I'm not allowed in the house. So
All right, well, get out to that garage and start doing your work. I know you're going to be a busy guy today.
Yeah, today's going to be fun. We got a bunch of the guys coming over from the museum, so we have what is known as garage parties. So like a half-hour, 40-minute job turns into about 2 6-packs, maybe a case or two, and a couple of pizzas.
All right.
So that's the plan for today, and
All
that's
that for
part of
a
the
taillight
old car
bomb.
syndrome. Get the old guys out of the house.
All right,
Sounds
don't
good.
We got a show to do. See, we'll
Okay,
we'll
go
catch
to
on
your
the
show,
film.
and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All
Have
right.
Take care,
fun.
Bron.
Bye. All righty, that was our update from the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And,
It's truly wild.
I did catch part of what he said in that list, and what impressed me was that it almost assumes that the guy who's doing this is starting from scratch.
Right.
Because I know, like, I don't have to go and buy. Yeah, maybe I'm going to go buy a specialty tool, but I don't have to certainly buy my
I was going
core
to say, you
tools.
know what? I think like Home Depot or Lowe's was probably jamming money into his back pocket as he was reading that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not for nothing. Craftsman, Husky, somebody was like, "Here, Bron, take some. Talk about buying tools some more." Yeah.
Yeah, again, you think he would spread some of that our way so we could get a wrench or a screwdriver out of the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
No.
maybe a pry bar.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. Or an ejector seat. Something. I don't know.
Nail gun.
Even a fire extinguisher. I don't know. So, yeah.
You are truly evil today, aren't you?
Yeah, it's one of those days. It's been a heck of a weekend. I've been tied. I've been doing a lot of stuff personally and with the family. I've been pulled 9 different ways. Like I said yesterday after work, went over to the shop and did some stuff there. I wanted to talk about that because we did do the effector repair on Mike's Crown Vic.
Yeah, the one that we were like,
spoke
okay, it's
about.
either the wiring or the ECM. Let's see if it's the wiring first.
And I know you were going to come down to take a look at that.
I'm not on, yeah. Except my boss, no, you can't leave now. No, you see, and this Nissan with the lean condition, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, screw it, bring me another car. What the hell? And by the time I got done at the shop, it was like past my bingo point because I had to go out to. It was my anniversary yesterday, which I remembered.
Right.
I'm giving myself points for that, and I actually got home in time to get cleaned up, get dressed, go out to dinner, and remain awake until the trip home.
My bets were kind of against you on that one. I thought you'd be asleep at dinner.
I was like men's stonad by like the last, right about by the time the check came. So
Right.
Thank God my wife is an excellent driver.
Yep. Well, that was the thing. I had told Mike, I would help him out with this thing. Yeah, and happy anniversary. It's a great occasion. I mean, we're all up there in the double digits, so it's kind of like a badge of honor at some point. Like, hey, I made it this far.
See?
I just say, yeah.
And she ain't killed me yet.
I'm too stubborn to just do anything else. But whatever. With this repair, I said to Mike at some point, I said, Joe's busy, and I said, I wonder if he's in the shop in Queens or in the one in Nassau. So I said, let me ask him, and that's when I did. And you said you were at the further one. I was like, it doesn't pay for him at this point to come this far,
right?
And then I started looking.
I still want to see that place.
So I was working on my car, and I said, listen, start. His car's in the next bay. I said, get it ready, pull the connectors out, get things where we can see them, prep the job for me. I said, and then I'll come and I'll give you my eyeballs.
You went into teacher mode, didn't you?
Well, kind of, yeah. And once I saw what we had to do, I said, oh, you know what? It's not even really worth bringing Joe down for this because it was really not. It was a straight up, cut 2 wires, splice in another wire, and it was an easy deal.
Cool.
So if you were more available or had more time, I would say absolutely come on down and hang out.
Oh, I just wanted to do the hang with you guys.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
But given the situation, it really wasn't worth it. So we did it. I mean, we did the repair, and even with the teaching, and we were going through how to correctly cut wires. Now I know a lot of guys like Joe would cut a wire if they had a wire going into a terminal and they were going to cut it. They'd cut it right at the terminal.
Right.
So there's no chance of ever connecting anything to it
ever again.
So we discussed let's leave 2-3 inches so we have work room, and that was a matter of okay, how do you make an effective mechanical splice on a pair of wires?
Right.
Then how do you? We opted to solder the wires.
Never a bad choice.
So then it was okay. Let's talk about soldering and how to best do that repair, and of course, put the shrink tubing on the wire first because we've all done. I mean, if you
ask us how we know that,
if you screw up the first one, you're still okay because you can
slide it over the other end. It's just exactly.
Right.
It just has a little bit of a longer trip there.
Right, but if you do them both,
Yeah.
So then there's that shrink tape that you can actually buy.
They have a lot of really good electrical between terminals and shrink tubing, and they have liquid tape too.
Right.
I mean, there's a variety of stuff that you could do these days to make